Thank you very much for tuning in. My name is John Michael, and welcome to Pro Life Nova Scotia. I am a Nova Scotian, and I've been born in this country, and I had to move out. Why did I? Well, as you can see, I'm not in Nova Scotia here. I'm in my T-shirt. It's very nice, beautiful weather. Where am I? I'm in a place where there's no abortions, right? So that's the whole point of this channel. Is Pro Life Nova Scotia is um, to denounce this legal error, right? So what is the legal error? So the law does not agree with medical science. What are you talking about? The law doesn't agree with medical science. Well, a baby, the conception is the embryo, right? The embryo is the most important, most precious, valuable resource on the earth, right? A baby, right? So you see all these women there, they're having abortions for what? Convenience. So they will sit there and sing a song and a dance about, oh, well, what about the rape and all this stuff? And 99, whatever the percentage is of the time, it's not about rape. It's not about, it's only about convenience, right? I want to establish my career as a strong, independent woman. Okay, so you're creating an issue where there's a homicide that happens and there's no indictment of this because of the law not following medical science, right? So what do you mean by that, right? So the law not following medical science is exactly the only reason they're getting away with this. But history surely is on our side, right? So we'll get into this, but basically the law is powerless when it does not agree with science or medical science, right? Medical science is clear. The child is conceived, right? It's the most precious, most valuable asset the world has ever known, right? It's basically the only thing that's important, right? What is the world? Well, it's the people, right? It's not some land, it's not some career, it's not some, whatever you want to try to imagine it to be. But the world is, what is a country? It's people. What is the province of Nova Scotia? It's the land, it's the government. No, it's the people of Nova Scotia. So I lost a child, right, to abortion, and I have every right to speak as a father, and that's why I'm starting this new YouTube channel dedicated to my son that was lost in 2015. René Julien. That was the name of my son, right? So did I ever see my son's face? No. Did I ever hold my son's hand? Right? Did I ever hold him in my hand, in my arms? No, I did not. I did not. Why? Because there was a flawed, some sort of emotionally charged argument that makes absolutely zero logical sense. That says basically you can kill, contrary to thou shalt not kill. Right? This is the law is ingrained in our hearts. It's etched in our hearts. Right? It's it's etched in stone, but it is in our hearts, right? We know that we shouldn't kill, right? But they are going to make. Did you ever read the case law about the 1988 case law? If it's like the Roe versus Wade of Canada, right? It's just nonsense, right? It's a whole bunch of nonsense, and it's exceedingly lengthy. So thou shalt not kill, right? There's only four. It's very, very easy. Thou shalt not kill, right? There's four letters, four words that express what we already know. Don't kill, especially not a baby or anybody, right? So then we got MAID. That's another issue. I don't really care about that, but the problem is with MAID is that medical assistance in dying is that there's no anesthesiologist, and they're just doing it kind of sloppy and all that stuff. But that's not really an issue for today. Pro Life Nova Scotia doesn't really talk about that, but it is a project that I've been doing. I completed that project, and basically, the only issue is that why are we not using an anesthesiologist for MAID? Again, not really relevant, but it's an important issue. This pro-life Nova Scotia is much more important, so we're going to stick to that. You want to go with gender ideology and all this stuff. You want to pretend that you're a boy or a boy is a girl, and you need medical correction to change your gender and all this stuff, which is also what is going on at the Clare Health Centre. Clare Health Centre is basically at the center of this controversy, where they actually perform abortions, right? They actually prescribe abortifacients, right? So abortifacients, and let's make no mistake, all right? These birth control pills do not prevent the pregnancy. Birth control pills do not prevent pregnancy. They do not prevent the ovulation. The baby boy or baby girl is conceived. There's a baby, right? The most precious, most valuable asset the world has ever known. It's a baby. It's an embryo, right? It's the most important thing ever, right? thing. It's not. I shouldn't call the baby boy or baby girl a thing. All right. A baby boy is a baby boy from day one to year 100. Right. So let's say, for example, a child. My grandmother's 97. Right. When did she become my grandmother? Right. She was my grandmother was 97 years old. Yeah, she's a wonderful grandmother. I really hit the jackpot in the grandmother department because she's really great. I have two wonderful grandmothers. But 97 years old. Imagine, this embryo, right, can survive, past 100 years, right? So when did my grandmother become a grandmother? Oh, it's only at week 9 or whatever, or implantation, or week 40 or whatever. So it is true that the current legal framework, which is shrouded in folly, is allowing the destruction of a child, right? The killing, the homicide of a child. The perpetrator of the homicide of the child will not be indicted even the day before the birth, right? So when the baby's born, then it's a baby. What kind of nonsense is that? This is just not this unscientific garbage. And where does it come from? Well, it comes from the bribes, from the politicians, from the industry executives, and that's actually the problem. So the industry executives bribe the politicians, and they basically got some fancy yachts in the Caribbean and beachfront villas and all this stuff to throw our society under the bus. Well, how do you know that they bribed the politicians? Well, look at the fruits, right? So let's say, for example, there's a poison tree, right? How did the fruits of the tree, let's say, for example, this coconut tree, the coconut comes out, you got to climb the tree, right? Climb the tree, get the coconut, and it's poison, right? So what kind of nonsense, right? This is poison fruit, right? So somebody put some poison in the roots, right? Somebody, right? Because there's no chance that the politicians just wake up one day and say, well, I think I'm going to make some policy that's completely disregards medical science. I think I'm just going to wake up one day and draft my policy in favor of the pharmaceutical industry, which allow abortifacients to be prescribed to minor-aged girls, right? Minor-aged children that do not have, first of all, they're ignorant. It doesn't mean that I'm not saying that in a bad way. I'm just saying that they are unaware of the facts, and the facts are that the ovulation is still successful, right? And the ovulation is, what is the actual medical issue here? What is the actual problem? Is natural fertility the problem? Well, it's not. A woman's natural fertility is not a medical illness that needs correction. A woman's fertility, capability of having a baby is not a medical illness that needs, it's a woman's right and all this stuff and all this stuff. Okay, so there's two things. Number one, abortion. I think any reasonable person can agree that that's wrong. I mean, you're going to kill a child. You can see the face of the child. I mean, you can see there's a heartbeat. But Pro-Life Nova Scotia goes beyond that. It goes to the heart of the abortion issue, and that's the birth control pills. Birth control pills do not prevent pregnancy. It did not prevent pregnancy. That's really what's going on here, and that my family is responsible for the greatest mass murder ever. Right? My family has so much blood on their hands, and I'm attempting to retain the family honor, but I doubt that with this big of a crime that I'm part of this person. We share the same grandmother. Share the same grandfather, right? That's the problem. My grandfather died in the war, right? My grandfather died in the war with honor, right? And Dr. Michel Dow is my, we share the same grandfather. So whatever you want to make her to me, cousin or whatever kind of thing, yeah? We share the same grandfather, right? And how awful are the things that she has done, right? What did she do, right? So number one, she's deceiving these young girls, sometimes underage girls. Many times they're underage, because I've seen it. I've seen the girls. I was doing that kind of stuff when I was underage with underage girls that were on birth control pills, because I was in a band and we were rocking and living the lifestyle and smoking and drinking and living, just debauchery, just absolute nonsense lifestyle here that why would we lived like that. I don't know. My father died. Maybe there was no guidance or whatever. But no problem. If you want to live that kind of life, there's nothing wrong with that, as long as you take this pill, and this pill will make sure that there's no baby. Okay. Well, that's how she markets it at markets it as. But the problem is that there is a baby, and the baby is killed at the very natural and healthy stage of development, which is implantation. So there's a baby. Because of this pill, the baby will die. Okay, so is there less of a chance of the baby? Yeah, okay, nobody says that. But the FDA's own publication admit that, there's a baby, right? There will be a baby, because that's what the whole point of doing that kind of stuff is, right? Sexual relations, right? Well, how about keeping your knickers on? Uh-huh. How about morals in our society? What about that, right? It worked for a very long time, hundreds of years, and now all of a sudden, because of this, and this, perhaps would contribute to this. I'm not really talking about the society. We're really talking about the birth control pills, and let's put surgical or medical abortions aside. Right? I think anybody can agree that's folly and shameful about birth control pills. And that's the thing. People do not accept in their minds that this is happening. And you talk to so many people and they say, oh, I never heard about that. You never heard that the birth control pill will not prevent ovulation and the conception will be successful, and there's a baby boy or baby girl and the baby, will die at the later and very natural stage of implantation? Oh, I've never heard about that. You're the only one talking about that. And then, yeah, well, it's true. It is true. It is true. And Dr. Michelle Dow knows this. She knows this, and she's exceedingly, wicked, or whatever you want to call it. She evil? Well, yeah, well, whatever. I don't know, I guess. But baby killers are evil. And, in my mind, I would put forward that's a reasonable argument. People that kill babies are evil. People that kill babies are evil. Pro-Life Nova Scotia is where we are. Thank you very much for tuning in. Click like, subscribe if you're interested in pro-life content. Life is good. I like, living. Life is great. As you can see here, I got my house here. I'm in my house, and very beautiful view here. There's the bay and all this stuff. Anyway, pro-life is certainly where it's at. If you want to be pro-choice and all this stuff, you have to disregard logic and reason. You have to disregard medical science, right? Medical science is clear, and the FDA's own approval. Sorry, the FDA's own publication that, how could these drugs be approved? The only reason that these drugs can be approved is because the politicians were bribed by the industry executives, and the industry executives didn't just one day didn't wake up and say, hey, I think I'm going to, file a bill in favor of the pharmaceutical industry that will basically throw our society on how many babies will be lost because of this, right? Many children. And how many children are responsible? How many children did Michelle Dow is personally responsible for killing? And that's a very large amount, so the society's moral decline and all this stuff, we can see, there's a whole bunch of nonsense on TV in the 1950s. You could never imagine the kind of stuff that is on Netflix here today. There's a serious moral decline and all this stuff. Yeah, sure. It's not really important. You want to go back to the basics, and, you want to go to church or whatever. Well, I see a whole bunch of heresy in church or whatever. That's not really the topic of today's conversation. You should, you should try to find the truth, right? That's the whole point of this channel, is the truth. Thank you very much for tuning in. We're going to do a little bit more. Just try to talk a little bit about this, because it is an important matter. Life itself, right? We are basically just talking about this is the greatest crime. All right, so this is the greatest crime in humanity's history, right? And my family is directly responsible for that. We'll make another video about that. Thank you very much for tuning in. I'll see you guys in the next video.